Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Shifali Srivastava, Marketing and Communication Manager at University Living. The great land of United States of America has always been the dream for many. The history, multicultural lifestyle, and welcoming culture speaks to students all over the world. Today's session will focus on studying abroad in USA. We'll be covering the most sought after courses and the application process. And to discuss this in detail, we have an amazing panel with us. Allow me to introduce our expert. Guys, you can switch on your mic and say hi to our audience. We have with us Farheen Memon, International Student Recruitment, Global Engagement and International Programs, Drake University. Hi, Farheen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Shafali, for this opportunity. I look forward to answering all your questions. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, Farheen. We have Devangna Kachuria, Marketing and Recruitment Advisor, USC Whitby School of Engineering. Hi, Devangna.
Hi, Shafali. Thanks so much for inviting a lot of us here. And thanks to University Living, you guys are doing a great job. And most of all, thanks to all of you for listening in. This is a great time to be thinking about your future and where you should be headed. So thanks.
Thank you. We have Manmeet Kaur, Associate Director of International Enrollment, South Asia, Bradley University. Hi, Manmeet.
Hi, thank you, University Living. Thanks to Saurabh and thanks, Shifali, for having us here. We look forward to speaking and answering all the queries.
Great, great. We are in fact excited to have you all over here. We have Megha Yadav, Education USA Advisor, USIEF. Hi, Megha.
Hi, Shafali. Thank you so much for having us today. And thank you so much. Thank you, University Living. It's going to be a fun Friday evening talk. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have Evans McDonald, Support Manager, Outpost Club, NYC. Hi, Evans. You're on mute.
Hey guys, how are you? Evans here, Outpost Club. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on Friday evening. And attendees, we'll start with the session. If you have any questions, kindly ask in chat box or Q&A is preferred. So that, and we'll be addressing all the questions around 6:50 or 6:45. Megha, I'll start with you with $1 in a million question, I'll say. Why do millions of international students choose to study in USA? Why it is this most, famous studying abroad destination still?
Well, very good question to begin the interaction. There are plenty of reasons, but I will definitely talk about a few key reasons that are there. It is that, that one must think about when they think about US higher education. And these are the factors that actually make US their top study destination for all international students, not just high school, not just graduate population going for their masters or doctoral degrees, but it has been increasingly, you will see wide increase in numbers for high schoolers as well, going for their undergraduate studies. So to begin with, one thing that I would like to talk about is the number of schools that are available. There are more than 4,500 accredited higher education institutions in the United States. And there is a plenty of choice when it comes to US higher education institutions and the programs that they offer. So you get to choose from plethora of majors. You get to club your academia with your interests, that flexibility that you get at these US institutions for your higher education. Along with that, there is this cutting edge technology and the research infrastructure that you get. The labs at American universities, at American campuses are very well equipped with the best facilities and equipment, with the funding from both not just federal government, but the state and as well as private players. The labs are at the cutting edge in their respective fields. Not to mention the American college and universities campuses. They are extremely welcoming for foreign students and they enjoy the vibrant campus life. The students get to explore that once in a lifetime experience that the one can actually imagine. And the benefit of US higher education is that along with these opportunities, there are numerous scholarship, internship, and training opportunities that students get to opt for during the course of study. So these opportunities definitely provide students with that hands-on experience and some pocket money to an extent, and they don't just graduate with a degree. When you talk about a US higher education, they don't, I will never, I'm saying this from a personal experience, you don't just graduate with a US degree, but you graduate with a rich cross-cultural exposure and the robust alumni network that you get to have while you are there, and which stays with you till the time you live. We have great universities over here. You can ask them for themselves, the kind of opportunities and the kind of facilities that US universities offer. So with that, I'm through with my answer. I'd be happy to have others pitch in for this.
You've actually covered the whole webinar in one answer, but this is all what we're going to discuss actually. So thank you so much. Before I come to, and you mentioned very great points which we'll be discussing in further detail. Evans, I would like you to share your experience as a student when you were in USA. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear, but not everybody. I think the lady who was talking and
yeah, I'm asking that how was your experience when you're studying it, when you were studying at USA?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I never studied in the USA, by the way.
Okay, so in LinkedIn you mentioned, so never mind. I'll come to you, Fareen. As Megha mentioned about the cutting edge courses and research programs and all that, would you like to share some light on the popular courses at your university, or maybe why one should, which course should be considered when you're traveling to USA, or something into that sort?
Sure. So talking about courses, the major aspect for a student to choose US education is the kind of programs that universities there offer. We have known Americans education as the gold standard. And the reason why that is, and now here in India, we have universities that have started adapting the methodology that US universities have been using since forever, and that is giving students a flexibility to choose from various majors, minors. They can choose various electives and concentrations. Here in India, generally we are very restricted. So if I studied a business management program here in India, and from what I definitely know is that I have only studied through and through business program. I was not introduced to a psychology program, as a concentration, as a minor maybe, or I was not introduced to AI or computers related courses apart from what is already inbuilt in the curriculum itself. And that is the beauty of American education. As far as the popular courses go, as usual, we all know US is the STEM based focused, STEM focused market for Indian students. So we have all sorts of engineering programs that are very, very popular across the US. And then we have computers. Now computers has diverted into a lot of majors. We have data analytics, we have business analytics, we have artificial intelligence and whatnot that the students can choose from. But apart from the engineering and the computers majors, also we see students now showing a lot of interest in courses like business, definitely one of the other top courses that students generally prefer studying abroad, not just in the US. And then we also have courses like journalism that is gaining popularity. We have courses in terms of environmental sciences that are gaining popularity. These days, students talk about theater, arts, and parents have become more flexible in terms of, letting students choose what their interest is rather than, just the old standard becoming a medical doctor or becoming an engineer or doing an MBA was there once upon a time. So psychology is another good major that students generally choose from. Generally, a lot of universities offer various majors for students to choose from, various programs for students to choose from, and then merge it with their interest areas through electives and minors. So I think a student can literally choose from any option that they would want to. Plus, I would also like to mention that in the US, if you start with a degree program and you feel probably you made a wrong choice, you can go back and undo that by transferring to another program. And that is also the essence of American education out there for students to look for.
Great, thank you, Fareen. And you have mentioned really amazing new age courses which now students are taking. And actually, the curve has changed. It is not just traditional courses which are on the table. There are multiple other courses, and parents are very willing to take it forward. I remember my back days when I wanted to pursue mass communication. I had to convince a lot to my parents that this is also a stream to pursue and all that. So, Divangna, would you like to add something to this? And of course, I'll also like to add one more question. Fareen, if you also want to add to the same point, you can. Do you guys think that post-pandemic any changes have occurred in the selection of the students like these courses?
Yes.
Well, maybe I can begin and
Sure, Fareen, you can take it. Then we'll go to Manmeet. Manmeet has something to add.
yeah, sure. So as far as the post-pandemic change in the admission procedures are concerned, yes, we've seen a lot of changes when it comes to the requirements of at the undergraduate level. There is always a requirement for SAT or ACT for students, which are aptitude tests that the students have to take. But when COVID was there, and even now, and I'm not sure even in future, now that SAT has gone online, things may look a little different for a lot of universities, but that requirement was changed. Most of the universities have become test flexible, test optional. Some have become test blind also, which means that they do not need a SAT or an ACT test now for the student to get an admission or probably even scholarships. Apart from that, at the graduate level, we saw similar change coming in for GRE and GMAT tests. We were also very flexible in adjusting to students submitting their test results for English at a later point in time based on how they found it available, how things have changed with IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, everything being online right now. So a lot of flexibility came into the process. Plus, a lot of institutions have started thinking about, is it really compulsory to have a SAT or an ACT or a GRE and a GMAT on file for the students? I'm sure Manmeet and Divangna can certainly.
Yeah, I'm coming to Manmeet only. Manmeet, you wanted to add something. Divangna, sorry, I'll come to you in a minute.
No, I'm absolutely okay. So I have something to add here that yes, from computer science with the post-pandemic, the requirements and the interests have more shifted, and just because of the demand, I'll say. So financial management, health analytics, healthcare management, pharmaceuticals, drug discovery, drug design, all this is something which is coming into understanding and in demand. I'm not too sure how many universities would offer these programs as STEM designation. That is one concern for students to pick up it as a final option to be picked up. But then I'm sure this is in demand. This is the upcoming demand, looking at the scenarios and uncertainties all around. Now, when Farheen said, so I have something controversial saying on that. So when she says that a lot of universities have come up with the, waivers, I believe if a specific program demands GRE or GMAT, so with that waiver, certainly, yes, it was needed during the COVID times. But I personally feel that it shouldn't be continued for the very simple reason, because if that aptitude test or English proficiency level is needed for a program or to match to the international level of students being there, students are coming from various countries. So their basic English language ability level has to be maintained for them to be able to, get adapted to the rolling tongue there, at least to get understanding of the lecture that they're attending. And talking about GRE GMAT, I believe that it should come back as a requirement, because that was a requirement to match the standards and to make a student competent enough to study the program. So I personally feel that it should come back as a requirement for most of the programs.
You must be giving anxiety to few students, I must say.
So I actually agree with you there, Manmeet. And why I agree with that is because for a lot of students, if they don't have the aptitude exam to give and retake and have the opportunity to learn from that, then a lot of the application process stands alone on their degree and their transcripts. And we don't want that either. We want to give them an extended opportunity where they can take and retake and find that aptitude, so to speak. So I agree with you there. Even though at USC last year we had waived off our GRE, I think what we're looking for next is then how do we kind of assess these students who are coming in just on the basis of their transcripts is not kind of fair to them. So let's see what the future brings. But in terms of interests, there have been, like Manmeet rightly said, there have been a lot of shift, and we are an engineering school, so we offer only engineering programs. But I can tell you that from general computer science tracks, it's gone more towards data science, whether it's healthcare data science or communications data science. Now there are students that may have done their economics, their undergrad in economics, but they want to do communications or journalism data science. Or so even non-engineering students are now able to kind of make that shift into applied data science management. And that being said, even engineering management, which is kind of technical and project management, that's working out really well. Sorry. And other than that, if we're moving away from engineering, then there's a lot of demand for supply chain. So I'm seeing those programs are going up kind of on their own because there is a demand. And that being said, there's also a lot of stuff happening in artificial intelligence and deep learning and mining and in crypto. So there's a need for financial engineers. Even though you're able to pick up those courses on your own, it's actually very thorough and you need a deep understanding. So artificial intelligence and machine learning has been the case throughout. So that's the difference we've seen so far.
Great, thank you guys. And now when we are talking about the discussion around pandemic, so what kind of policies have been introduced at your universities? Or Megha, you can also add from the industry expert side, that what are the new policies if somebody wants to travel to USA for study? Megha, you can start.
You're muted.
All right. So I'm so sorry. Devangana mentioned, like Manmeet and Fareem mentioned that, a lot of universities have gone test optional. They've either gone test optional or they're test blind or they're frozen the testing requirement. This has pros to it and this has cons to it too. So I believe that one of the pros is that this gives an opportunity for students to apply to their aspirational schools, but at the same time, because universities see a humongous increase in the applications, the number of applications that they receive, at some point in time, I feel that, students, student screening is at a disadvantage because there are no there are no testing scores that, universities are getting. And then there is no benchmark or there is no threshold the universities can see. The point of these test optionals testing scores is that they see the college readiness of a student, be it undergraduate or graduate. So we want to the aptitude, the kind of aptitude that is needed for a particular course can only be judged through these testing scores, and the opportunities that and even for GRE or GMAT, for if you were to talk about it, they see how organization ready the student is, so that that assessment is somewhere lacks, and that gives an opportunity for a lot of kids who don't feel like taking the exams. They also apply, which in some way I feel can be a disadvantage to people who have showcased their best self in the application. So that's something that I feel, but obviously I'll be happy to hear from others as well, and I think most of them have already summed it up pretty well. The another policy amendments that I would want to talk about is which is also a benefit in a way, is that there have been digital testing formats, say for example new SAT that we have gotten, it is going to be digitalized, and even TOEFL IBT, that is the home edition that we talk about. Some universities like last year or even a year prior, even in 2020, a few, obviously most of them went digital, most of them went online, but quite a few universities have also started in-person classes along with hybrid as well. But then it totally depends on the schools. Now we have like great schools here, so I think they would be in a better position to talk about the class format. And I'm not sure if you have noticed it that because of the pandemic and because of the online learning, we have seen a humongous increase in the online courses, to increase the profile building that students normally use to accentuate their profile. You will see that a lot of kids have actually started to enroll for online courses to just gain that skill set, is what I have seen that change. If I were to talk about even my advisees, I have seen a lot of kids, because they could not do much of physical activities or anything, any other extracurricular activities that they couldn't do, nor they could do an internship, but then they had an opportunity to explore their learning opportunities by, enrolling for these online courses. Yep.
Right.
Over to you.
Thank you. Manmeet, would you like to add something to the policies over there?
I somewhere match with my thoughts with Devangana and Megha here. Why? Because I believe, these application fee waivers, English language medium acceptance is not the right policy. Yes, it was needed during that point of time so that these students do not waste their time and they should continue with their qualifications. But then this is, when any university offers application fee waivers, technically the student is ready to spend, we'll talk in INR, so that these students are ready to spend 32,000 odd dollars and 24, 25 lakhs on the fee. But they need those 3,500, 3,700 rupees waiver just because they don't do the homework. So what happened in the last year is that a lot of these consultants saw huge visa refusals, even with the good grant ratio from the embassy's end. Reason is these students did not do the right kind of homework just because it was free. So free, when it is something for free, you don't want to do research. And then they applied. But when you have to ask your parents for your credit card, their credit card password, you need to answer them a lot of questions. And to answer to those questions, you need to do homework. And that gives you the right choice. So I always tell these students, while don't try to match yourself to a university, rather try to pick up a university and program that matches your career aspirations and dreams. And that will happen only when they want to do the homework. And for that homework, they need to pay the application fee. So when it is waiver, they're knowledge free as well. Devangana, I think you want to add something to this.
Yeah, I was going to come to the Devangana only on that. And I really like the credit card examples, really.
So I want to go back to the actual question.
Thank you.
That you asked, Shefali.
Sorry if I missed that.
No, that's okay. Even in fact, this is the next question which I'm going to ask about the entrance exam and all that. And I think it's really important for students also to know that what's going to be coming over there, because COVID has given many different images, and things were different because the times were different. Now things are going back to normal. So of course, things are going to be back normal for them as well. So I'll again revisit my question. So any post-pandemic policies and amendments are there for international students respect to the university over there?
So, so with us, it actually happened quite quickly that, Los Angeles was that, which is where the university is based out of. Los Angeles had a very high rise in cases quite quickly. So the university had to shut down completely, which meant remote learning, which meant students can't engage on campus. And that was obviously unfortunate. With that came a lot of policies last year, that had to do with you being required vaccination, with a lot of testing happening on campus, and with basically no one being on campus, so which was really sad. This year, however, it has opened up. We started, last year we started in-person classes. And we started with, like say 60-70% of people being able to attend, while we're still allowing a good section, or it's kind of like an as-need basis where you're allowed to take most of those classes from the comfort of your home if you're not yet comfortable. So it has been transitional in that sense. But now I think people are getting more comfortable with the fact that, okay, COVID is here, it's possibly here to stay. How can we be careful? And there is still testing on campus. And what the university is trying to do now, in terms of just getting through this, is not policy setting for the students themselves, but helping them do research in the field of COVID, in the field of healthcare, starting up those labs. So I think that's the direction everyone's kind of thinking in terms of policy. Things are pretty much back to normal, with the added advantage of, if you want to take a class from home, or you want to schedule a meeting with your advisor or your professor, it's much easier to do because it's all virtually set up. So it's definitely helped with digitization, and I think that's been one of the advantages. But other than that, things are back to normal, and that's all.
That's the great news, that the university experience is going to be back for the students. Farin, would you like to add something over here?
Oh, yeah, actually, I want to add that although, things started off when we had to go to a digital world all the way, things were very haywire. People were not ready. But now, just like this current season that we saw with Omicron, people were very ready. The universities had the readiness to move quickly everything online, and then we quickly came back on campus as well. It was about a glitch of about 2 to 3 weeks, odd, that too during the initial period when the students had the orientation to attend. So as I completely echo with what Devangna said, that even though now that everything is going back to normal, virtual is here to stay. Now we are all connecting virtually as well, so virtual is here to stay in certain aspects. But students are very much open to go on the campus. They wanted that ever since, and now they have an option, they have a choice whether they want to do a certain stuff online, they want to do it on campus, or they want to keep it flexible. Now, as Devangna just mentioned, meeting with the professor, setting up an advising appointment has been much easier, because you don't need to walk into the office at the advising center. You can do it online at your own convenience, quickly wrap up a class and hop onto a Zoom call, rather than running all the way to the building, across the campus to visit a particular advisor. So things are definitely changing, and colleges and universities are more ready to deal with circumstances in the future. So each university now has options available to keep it more hybrid, or to keep it online as well, if there are any situations that may come forward eventually sometime, that we do not hope for, but we don't know.
Yeah, but I think I believe the word is ready now. Yeah, Evans, I'll come to you. Hi, Evans, you're actually on mute. Yeah. So what are the safety protocols placed at the properties with respect to the pandemic or COVID?
All right. So to start with, thank you so much, everybody, for giving me the floor. Right now, as you guys are saying that, the world is ready and students are ready. So with the release of some restrictions, in all properties, we make sure that there's sanitization within the house. We do not now allow everyone to put on the mask inside the premises, because let's face it, I mostly work in New York, so everything is relaxed right now. But just to be on the safe side, we do have some restrictions. So sanitization is always on the common spaces. We make sure that we limit the number of guests coming into the property. And if you are going to be having guests into the property, you need to have the consent of your roommates, because we operate in a co-living world. So these are some of the protocols that we have implemented in order to curb the spread of the virus. But for now, things are looking good. We're looking forward to the future, and hopefully, by the beginning of the next semester, things will be actually back to normal again.
I'm sure that everyone in the world is actually believing that and hoping for the same thing, that things are going back normal. I would also like to add one more question over here, is that is your staff on site is trained and to handle any kind of COVID emergencies?
Yes, indeed. And I'll answer this question based on the experience that we have gathered in the past months. So, in case a case breaks out in the apartment, then we definitely have to implement isolation measures. Meaning to say, people are allowed to stay inside their apartment without leaving. Since we have house leaders on the property, they will be the ones responsible to supply or with all the supplies, food, and assist them in the possible way. Other people that are also in the apartment, in case the COVID case breaks out, we then have to relocate them to other locations so that they will not spread the virus. So we're trying to contaminate it in one area. So those are the measures that we have in place, and our people on the ground are easy or be able to respond to such situations.
Great, great. Thank you. And I'm sure it's very assuring for the students to know that there are people on the ground to take care of such emergencies. Now we have discussed, why USA, what are the academic entrance exam, what are the policies. Manmeet, I will come to you. A lot of time what happens, especially we see it on our communities, that, students come and they are saying, okay, I have to start I want to get enrolled within this academic year. What should be the first process to start? So if you would like to share some input, then when is the right time to start for preparing if somebody wants to study abroad in USA, and what might be the one step or two step to start to begin with?
See, if I talk about undergrad students, 10th, grade 10 to grade 12, any time is the right time to start with the application process. Because although we know in the US, more than 1,700 institutions have suspended SAT requirement at the moment. Still, I always suggest students, if you're going for a STEM designated program, GRE is not needed, take the test. Have the understanding of the test, module, and content. So similarly, even if SAT, ACT is not required, I always suggest students, irrespective of the score, just take the test. So it's just on us, any students, individual potential, how they can manage their studies parallelly and the prerequisite requirements. So it can begin from grade 10 to 12 anytime, or even post completion of the grade 12, exams. Talking about a grad student, again, it can initiate parallelly whilst completing their graduation. They have to keep in mind that these aptitude tests or English language ability tests have a expiration date in terms of the acceptability. So they have to be very mindful in taking these tests. But then they can do their homework in terms of choosing the right program, right university, way ahead of the admissions time. So that, yes, and many a times students have completed their masters, they are into the workforce, and they still want to pursue higher education, any specialization to reach the next level of their career. So that is again the right time to choose and work on the prerequisites.
Great, great. Thank you. Fareen, would you like to? Yeah. Fareen, would you like to add something to here?
To sum this up, I would say a year in advance is the best time for you to start applying to any institution. So if you're looking for an undergraduate level studies, that's your bachelor's level. 12th maybe a little, 12th is as usual, grade 12 is so complicated. It's already too many tests for you. There are midterms, there are preliminary exams, there are practicals. There's just so much that you have to do. And now with CBSE changing the way the exams work, things have gone even more complicated and complex for the students. So rather, for an undergraduate student, I would say when you're finishing your 11th grade, that's the best time for you to look into writing your SAT and ACTs so that they have enough time to focus on their grade 12th and not disturbing their studies at all at that time. And as far as a graduate student is concerned, again, a year in advance. So if you are now looking at August August of 2022, you should have started ideally in August of 2021 to start applying, looking for options available, because each of these universities have various sorts of deadlines. There are early action deadlines, there are priority deadlines, there are scholarship deadlines. And although some universities are flexible with deadlines, but scholarships, nobody is flexible for scholarship deadlines. If you miss it, you miss it. That's how it is. So 1 year in advance ideally is the right time. If you're looking for spring intake, which means the January intake, the best time was January. But if you've not started yet, it's not very late. Now you can still catch that train that you have not missed. If you wait for a little more time, then probably it's best that you look at further intake options.
Great, thank you. Devangna, would you like to add something?
So I think Manmeet and Farheen pretty much summed up, my sentiments about this. But I will say that it does depend on the individual. I think 1 year before is great. I think 10th and 11th is a great time to look for an undergraduate program. But it's also important. I mean, I'd like to extend the answer a little bit. It's also important what you're looking at. So when you're doing your research, you're possibly not sure which exact program you want. You're probably not sure which location you want. You don't know whether you want a dynamic campus in a city or you want something quieter. You don't know what you're looking for in faculty. So as much time as it takes for you to do your research to find something that's a really good fit for you, that's the time. So that's quite an open-ended answer, I realize, but it does really honestly depend. And the sooner you start, the better. Because there are a lot of factors to be taken into account, like where are your finances coming from? How much time will you take to get your documentation together? How slow or fast is your university in sending you the transcripts or in sending the university the transcripts? So it depends. Take all of these things into account. Talk to as many people who are involved in the process, possibly someone who has gone to the US before, or Education USA. I think they're a really good resource to have. So having those conversations and then figuring out how much time it's going to take and then working on those timelines, I think is best.
True, right said. Early to start, it's always better you'll be more strong on your research part and you'll not miss on the deadlines. Megha, I'll come to you. I'm pretty sure you must have something great to add over here, but I would also like to know what are the initial steps for a student to begin with?
So I agree with all three of them, where you begin the application process a year prior. Obviously, you can't begin the process in the middle of the year. So for undergraduate students, the application cycle begins on August 1st. So for fall 2023, say for example, your application cycle will begin on August 1st, 2022. And similarly, for graduate students, the application cycle will begin in this year, August, either in August or September, depending on whichever program or whichever discipline that you're applying for. But at the same time, this is the application cycle. Like Devangana mentioned, shortlisting universities plays a very important role. And that's where Education USA comes into picture, where we guide you on the complete application process, starting from shortlisting universities to allocating funding opportunities for your program that you want to pursue, to helping you work on your application process, and eventually you're helping you with your student visa process and preparing you for your departure. But at the same time, to prepare your profile, to work on your profile, or to develop a robust profile, it is important that you even begin way early. Say for high schoolers, 9th and 10th grade is the best time when they can actually start thinking about it, start making their mind, instead of rushing through their decision of studying in the US in class 12, or say in grade 11. Even grade 11 is still understandable, but 12th grade, when you think about working on extracurricular activities, that will be a little late, because then those activities will not be those meaningful for you, because that have not talked about much longevity and even depth of what you have earned out of those activities. So even for shortlisting, we suggest students that they begin at least 12 to 18 months prior. so that they have enough time to do their research. They are not rushing through the decision, because selecting a handful of universities from that big chunk of number, more than 4,500 higher education institutions, it is definitely a big task, and it is going to be very daunting and confusing at times. So doing an in-depth research requires that time, and that is one space or one task that we encourage students to invest deeply into it. They must put their heart and soul into identifying which universities they want to achieve, because it's their career that we're talking about. So they need to identify those factors that are important to them, and then choose the universities based on what they will achieve after they've graduated from those from that particular school. And they should never forget, when they have shortlisted those universities, they should never forget the reason why they have actually chosen those particular schools as their shortlist. So that's something that I would want to highlight on, and I really emphasize on that, because starting early is just the key, and time management, because obviously if a student is in the last year of their high school or in the last year of their undergraduate degree, it is going to be a lot of work for them, and planning their time is very important. So it's not just the testing bit that they will work on, they will have to work on various other aspects of the application, say SOPs, say essays, getting the letters of recommendation. So it is a lot of work that you will have to work on. So it's important that you fit into the timelines and plan your work accordingly and early. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm pretty sure I'm going to use this clip as well for our community. Guys, if you have any question, kindly ask in the chat box or Q&A. Divangna, I'll come to you. And of course, I'll come to Farin and Manmeet also later on the similar question. A lot of students think that only academic record is something which is required by the university, which is not true. It might be true in India, but I don't think it's true overseas. So what are the factors that you guys look in a student while their application is reviewed?
Okay, so I think that Manmeet and Fareen will also agree with me here, but we do aim to do a holistic review of the application, and we tend to use that terminology a lot as well. And so, just to explain what that means is that while at USC, it is a competitive school for sure, but while your academic records are important, it's whether you are a right fit for the university or not, and whether the university is a right fit for you. So what takes into account, or what has to be taken into account there, notwithstanding the last year when the GRE, GMAT, all of that was waived off, but admission, those test scores are important beyond your transcripts, beyond your academic records. The next thing that's important is what your CV looks like, at least for us. And I'm talking specifically for USC Viterbi and our graduate and PhD programs, what your CV looks like. So whether you had relevant projects under your belt that showed that you had interest in the subject you're applying to. The key term here is relevant. Okay, keep your CV or keep your projects or keep all of that relevant to the program you're actually interested in applying to. Beyond that, there are other options like letters of recommendation, and we usually recommend our prospective applicants to look at letters of recommendation from their previous undergrad or from academia, rather than work or rather than internships. Those are connections that you tend to, that tend to be able to tell us more about you than working. Beyond that, there's also, and this is a very important part, is your statement of purpose. Now, it's very common for students to have one format of statement of purpose, change the school name, and submit it right across. It's easy to do, I understand, but it's also very easy for the admissions team who's looking at it to know that it was a very generic or very general, a format that you have just changed the name and submitted to us. And what we're actually looking for is whether you have done any sort of research on the university, on the program, whether your interests actually align with what you're applying to. and what kind of person you come across as. Do you come across as hardworking? If you have, say, backlogs, or if you haven't performed well, are you able to address that? If there is an interest that that you want to talk about that doesn't outshine in your CV, whether that's whether there's some research that you plan to do, what your plans are 5 years and 10 years. And I realize the SOP is hard to do because we also say keep it concise. Tell us all of these things, but keep it concise. So I understand the students' plight. But that being said, the admissions team has to get a flavor of who you are and what you're looking for and what your alignment is like. And I think if you can get that across and you can address whatever you need to, that's usually the way to go. So yeah, those are just some of the factors that we look at.
Thank you. Fareen and Manmeet, would you like to add something over here? Manmeet, yeah, please.
Certainly. So we always say that we want to know, I mean, Devangana has already mentioned about the essays and everything, but then we want to know that the student has thought about the goal in the program and is a good fit for the program is the most important. So if I talk about specifically my university, our statement of purpose is divided into two parts: achievement essay, objective. Objective is usually the generic part, but then the achievement essay should talk about your potential, as Devangana rightly said, something that you can't exhibit through the documents supplied. So you have to put it in the right words in the achievement essay. So that's it. And I think we are closer to the closing time.
Yeah, we're almost there, but
Fareen can add more to it.
Yeah, Fareen.
Sure. So towards the undergraduate level, probably I'll add more. So extracurriculars definitely are important. Students should, as a Meg has probably, mentioned that starting your ninth standard or probably, even early on, depending on where you are and what sort of resources are available for you. A lot of these students are now doing a lot of MUN debates. They get involved in community services. And trust me, the admissions office will review all of these aspects. Although they may not be the only and the important aspects that we look at, but we receive thousands of applications, and when we have to come and jot down a couple of students for our particular program, these specific aspects like your extracurriculars, definitely a very strong SOP, a letter of recommendation that speaks about you. See, there's nobody who's going to come and ask you these questions. Your documents that you're putting forward to a university are the mirror, a reflection of what you are as a person, and they should reflect that. So Devangana also rightly pointed that the students generally submit generic SOPs. Now, we understand they apply to about 10 universities as such, but you should sit down and do some research about that program. And if you've done that, ensure that you at least write something about it in the essay or the SOP that you are going to submit to the university. That also helps us make a decision that, okay, you have found us the best fit. Now let us also find that you are the best fit for us.
Right. Right. And of course, as Manmeet mentioned, that we're almost near the closing of the session. Guys, if you have any question, please ask. I understand the session has been very thorough. So of course, most of your queries are addressed. But any question you can ask over here. I'll also, before I jump to another question with Evans, I would like to address one question from your side, is that what are the career opportunities available? Everybody who's going abroad or anywhere, any course, the ultimate goal is to have a good career opportunity. So what kind of career opportunities are available at USA? Fareen, we can start with you.
So Career Services Center is the place to begin. Now, there are a lot of departments at any US university. There are advisors in your own department. So if you chose to do a bachelor's in computer science or a master's in computer science, for an instance, the first person that you're going to meet to kickstart your degree is to prepare a degree plan, and that is with the help of an advisor. So there is one person that is advisor who plays a key role in towards your degree planning. The second important person is your professor, definitely, who would give you inputs, who will help you understand what you are good at and what you should pursue in terms of your career. Now everyone is confused. Nobody has the answer of, okay, I want to become this. Trust me, I didn't thought that someday I will be sitting here and presenting this to tens and thousands of people around across various regions across the globe. But I'm doing this because I pursued this. Somebody gave directions to me. So these people who are there is who handheld, throughout the entire process. And the most important place is the Career Services Center. Now, every university has a career cell. They would term it in different ways, different languages, different words would be there. For sure, Career Service Center is what you should look for. They will help you build your CV. They will help you how do you present yourself in terms of to a company or an organization. What are they looking at, and how can you build that over 3 years, over 2 years, or over 4 years of your degree, and then apply to those institutions, apply to these organizations, I'm sorry. So Career Services Center helps you build your CVs, helps you understand how do you present. So grooming, entirely a student is groomed. And career opportunities, well, there are plenty, STEM being one of the most important factor, but there are others also. Like, just to talk about Des Moines, where we are located, Drake University, we are the insurance capital of the USA. So insurance, finance, actuarial science, these are also equally good at in the US, apart from those very dominated engineering and computer science majors that students go for.
Thank you, Fareen. Manmeet and Devangana, I will request you to make it a little quick. That's it. Manmeet, please go ahead.
No, I'm done. That's absolutely okay. You can give a chance to someone else.
Thank you. Devangana, would you like to add something over here?
I'm just going to say exactly what Fareen said. Look for your Career Services Center. And when it comes to Los Angeles specifically, it actually hires the most it's the city that hires the most engineers from anywhere in the rest of US. So location. When you're looking to actually apply somewhere, please check what jobs are nearby, because that physical proximity, even though we're all virtual, does matter. That being said, also the alumni network is very, very important when you're looking for career opportunities, along with other senior students that you can talk to. Look at what kind of internships they have. Look at the past experiences of your alums. I think, yeah, that's about it.
Great. Megha, you want to add something?
Yes, just to add to what Fareem and Devangna mentioned, don't wait until the last year of your coursework or of your program to reach out to Career Center, but rather keep an eye out and interact with, get in touch with the Career Center, while you are in your year 1 and year 2. That will help you groom yourself and be a better professional once you graduate. And if you want to explore career trends or do some career search, there is a great Department of Labor website that you can explore. If you just type in Occupational Outlook Handbook on Google, you will be redirected to a Department of Labor website that will give you some career trends of the professions that you want to explore. I'm putting down the name in the chat box in case you want it.
Thank you, Megha. Evans, I would like to ask you one last question, which I believe is very important. As Devangana mentioned, that location is also important. Courses are also important. Students spend 80% of their time at their accommodation. So what are the parameters which our students should look while booking accommodation at USA? Evans?
Yeah, I'm here. All right, so it's a very important question that you just asked, and I would say that when it comes to location, what students need to put in mind is one, they need to factor out how far is the location or the accommodation from the university, because some people are working on a budget, so being closer to the proximity of the university is ideal. The other thing that they need to put into consideration is access to the public transportation. This is very important. Using the subway or using the bus or using the train. So this is also very important. Since I operate in an off-campus living style, it's always good to understand and do deep research to the company and the amenities that are being offered by the company. So this is very important. Last but not least is to always go on Outpost Club website and always submit an application, and definitely give you the best option you'll be looking for.
Great, great. Thank you so much. And we're almost near closing the session. I would request you all to share some final thoughts, maybe on the session. Attendees have been really patient, and I believe that we have been able to address all their concerns. So you guys can see this session live on our YouTube channel also by tomorrow. And if there's any query, you can reach out to University Living at support@universityliving.com. The email address is mentioned in the chat box. Uh, Fareen, if you any closing statement from your side?
Maybe Manmeet, you can start off because you have been patiently waiting to say something. So go
Not
ahead.
really. There's something wrong with the my touchpad, and it just unmutes on its own.
So I think let's start from you only, Manmeet. I believe the touchpad wants to go ahead.
Trust me. So, just before the session, I had to fix the mic and all
I
this.
know,
It was some
I
major
know.
glitch since morning.
And thank you so much for doing that last minute, because otherwise we would have missed your insight.
Thank you so much. Thanks to, in fact, I've learned a lot from Farheen, from Devangana, Megha. Happy to connect all of you. And thanks, University Living, for giving this opportunity and platform to discuss things.
Thank you. Any other words, Devangana, Megha, Fareen?
I will say to the students who are here, joined us today, that, thank you so much for coming on a Friday evening and listening to us patiently. I'm sure once you start doing your research, you will have a lot of questions, be it a generic question or anything that's more university specific. Don't hesitate to ask any question to anybody. We are all here to support you through your journey. You may think that this is a very stupid question or a lame question, but don't think that way. If you have a question that comes to your mind, be it about anything that you have on your mind, just come and speak to somebody at University Living or at the Education USA offices, or you can also find us, each of us, online through our websites, individually through, you can reach out to us over email as well, and we'll certainly be glad to assist you.
Thank you, Fareen. Megha?
Yes, to add to what Fareen mentioned, no question is a stupid question. If you have a question, if you have a doubt, please definitely reach out to the right source. And if you don't find anything on the university website, try not to look at various forums, and or Quora, to be precise. Don't look at all these forums, but definitely reach out to the respective university, because they are the most authentic source on university specific information. If you have a doubt, please write to the admissions team and they will get back to you. So that's one tip I did not talk about it throughout the session. So that's one. And thank you, University Living, for having me here. And it's a great Friday evening. I'm glad to, give my inputs today here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megha. Devangana, you were very happy when Megha mentioned not to go for Quora.
Yeah. I think all of us were a little happy when she mentioned that. It's not the best place. Anyone can write anything there. So, but anyway, I wanna kind of end with saying just that what Megha and Fareen and Manmeet have said is absolutely right. It's absolutely true. And this is actually, I think, a big differentiator in studying in the US, is that what we look for, or what kind of guarantees your success, is whether you're able to use resources to your advantages. Because the difference in the education system from here to there is that there you have to do a lot of the work yourself. There will be everyone to help you, but you have to do the reaching out, right? So it's a very holistic view, and it's a very balanced view of actually being a more independent person, and being able to ask for help is very, very important, because if you don't, you have missed that bus. So keep that in mind, and always utilize your resources to your advantage. Don't be afraid to, a lot of us are here just for you. So I would say use that and go get it. And we hope to see a lot of applications come in. And thank you so much, University Living, and thank you so much, ladies. You've been really great today.
Thank you, Devangana. Evans, would you like to add anything? Any golden words, closing statement?
But no, really. I just want to say thank you guys, for giving me for having me. So I really appreciate it.
I think Evans is getting a call. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It has been an amazing session. This was the first session in our USA series. Many more to come, and we'll be happy to have you again. I'm sure the kind of interesting session I had today was after a long time, where we got into in-depth knowledge about the questions, and I'm sure attendees are a little shy right now asking the question, but they'll come back with a few more questions in the next webinars soon. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us on Friday evening, and thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.